Hey guys, welcome back to News to Science, where we discuss comics, movies, games, and more. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, or should I say something that I have not done in a while, and that's a comic haul. I haven't done a comic haul in a bit because the place that I live in right now, it's an apartment. It's not a really big place. I don't have a lot of closet space to keep all of my comics in there. And I really want to keep doing them because originally this channel started off to be more of a comic book channel. And now that I've experienced some more growth, I kind of figured that a lot of you guys that just subscribed to my channel recently might be interested in other types of videos besides the Spider-Man videos that I've been uploading lately. I mean, those are always fun to do and those are great, but I really want to show you why I originally started this channel, and that's just to talk about comics, whether it be Spider-Man, of course, Daredevil, you know, you name it, I'll talk about all of it, even DC comics, which I barely do on this channel because without a doubt, this channel is more like a Marvel comic book channel, but I do talk about DC stuff, believe it or not, and I do have at least one or two DC comic books in this comic haul that I got recently. So I have a comic book store that I go in the corner. Not mine, obviously. I visit this comic shop that I go pick up comics in the corner that's near me, and I have a subscription there, so they have a box for me, and they basically take the comics that get released like on day one, and they put it aside for me and they hold it for me to go pick it up and basically buy them. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and start this comic haul. So we're gonna go ahead and start one by one. This one really caught my mind. This was not exactly this was not in my box when I got there. So this is basically non-stop Spider-Man. I'm very curious about this. I don't have a board for this, by the way, because believe it or not, a lot of the comic shops around my area, and at least I think around the nation, they're running on a massive shortage, and luckily I had sleeves or bags, spare bags in my bedroom to put these comics away because I didn't want to leave them loose. You never leave a comic book loose without at least a bag, but they didn't have any boards, so I put it in a bag right here. So this is non-stop Spider-Man. This one really caught my eye. It was not in my box. I have also issue number 2, which I'm really excited to read about because apparently these comics are about Spider-Man, basically, well, it's in the title, being Spider-Man non-stop, and old rivals and old villains, both old and new, appear in this series, and basically it takes a toll on Spider-Man. He's going to be basically going all over the world and all over New York, fighting villains non-stop. He will not be able to catch a break, and this is supposedly a high action-packed comic. I haven't had the chance to read it yet because I'm also reading Spider's Shadow, which is the next one I want to talk to you guys about. And I'm only going to be giving you like a brief description of what to expect about, you know, these comics that I did manage to pick up. So Spider's Shadow, Spider-Man Spider's Shadow is actually really hot and really popular right now. I only managed to snag at least issue number 1, which is a variant. This is not the actual original. I love variants, and number 1 was available at the time that I bought it. Now you can't find it anywhere physically. You have to order it, and you'd probably have to order it at a much higher price. I think number 1 goes for like $25, which is ridiculous. And I'm missing number 2 and 3, obviously, but I do have number 4. This was in my box. I think it's going to conclude with number 5, if I recall correctly. But Spider's Shadow, basically, the overall basic premise of this is that this is a what-if story. So it does say what if right there in the corner with a big purple question mark right there. It's a what-if story, and it basically asks, what if Spider-Man kept the black suit, and what if he became Venom? It shows Peter Parker using the black suit, taking down his enemies in the most brutal way, in the most brutal fashion, and that's just putting it lightly. And he eventually succumbs to the darkness and becomes Venom. So this is really cool. I really want to read this. I only read the first issue so far, and it's really great. I still want to read the second and the third one, so I'm going to have to read those digitally, unfortunately. But it's still, it's giving me a chance to read it regardless. So I'm pretty excited for that, and I really want to read this issue. What if stories are always fun to read because, you know, they're not canon. They're kind of like one-shots if you really think about it. But still, very exciting. Go ahead and pick up Spider's Shadow if you can. Good luck with that. Now, the next one is the Chameleon Conspiracy, again with the Amazing Spider-Man. Nick Spencer is actually one of my favorite writers for Spider-Man. I like him. Some people have a problem with him. I've met the guy. He's a really nice guy. I told him that I really like his stuff. So this is supposedly the conclusion of the Chameleon Conspiracy that's been going on for a bit. This is the giant size. I guess they call it that. Well, not this, but these are just 3 issues. But this is part 1, part 2, and part 3 right here. I don't know exactly the main like plot of the story here, but I know that Teresa Parker's involved, which is Peter Parker's sister in the comics, and the Chameleon's involved, which is an old foe of Spider-Man and one of Spider-Man's classic villains. Actually very underrated, and I think he's one of Spider-Man's most deadliest foes in my opinion, because he can be anybody, and you can't really trust anyone when the Chameleon's around. So definitely pick this up. I actually managed to get started on the first one, but I didn't get a chance to finish it, so I definitely want to finish this as well. I love Amazing Spider-Man comic books, as you can tell, basically from everything that I showed you has been Spider-Man comics. Now we're going into different territory here. I just want to get the Spider-Man ones out of the way. This is Daredevil Lockdown Part 1. I don't know what this one's about, but I am also a fan of Daredevil. This is brand new. This one just came out, and this is under Marvel Legacy with Zdarsky, Hawthorne, and Di Benedetto and Menes writing this issue and penciling and doing artwork for the issue. So I'm pretty excited to read this as well. I really want to catch up on good old Hornhead and see what he's been up to with Marvel Legacy. Can't wait to read that. Now we move on to one DC property. This is The Flash number 771. The Flash is my favorite DC character. Batman comes to a close first or close second, however you want to look at it. Batman used to be my favorite DC character of all time, but not until like The Flash. The Flash is like one of the most, like, I guess, underrated superheroes or overlooked superheroes. He's, you know, really well, like, he's really underestimated in my opinion. And The Flash is just a fantastic superhero who's basically considered like a god with the abilities that he has. The Flash is basically a god, having access to the Speed Force, traveling time, running at high, extremely dangerous super speeds. The Flash is awesome, and I just love the artwork and the covers of the Flash comic books, especially with the new DC run. So Adams, McGuire, Peterson, and Pekmexi and Atea, if I'm butchering that, I'm really sorry, you guys. Definitely want to check out the Flash number 771. Definitely give it a shot. A lot of good stuff with DC, at least specifically the Flash, because the Flash comics are always fun to read. And lastly, we have Venom number 200, Marvel Legacy number 35. This is a little sad to me because I actually had a fun time reading Donny Cates' Venom. It's actually one of my favorite iterations of Venom of all time, if not, it is my favorite iteration of Venom of all time. It really expands on the mythos and the origins of Venom itself, like, and its Clintar race, basically where the symbiote comes from a planet called Clintar. They're Clintarians, and that's basically the name of the race. And this, like, these stories really explore like the symbiote god and stuff like that, and it just gives a huge, you know, like a new twist to the symbiote origins. And we see Eddie Brock. This is very much an Eddie Brock Venom story. I have not read 200. There are still some issues of Venom that I really want to read and finish. When you have a lot of comics like I do, it's hard to catch up because new issues just keep coming out and you have other stories you want to read, or you get distracted by other things in life. But Venom 200, Donny Cates' last issue on Venom. So this is the epic conclusion. So definitely pick this up if you haven't had a chance. This is actually probably like the thickest issue there is. I think it's like over 80 pages, no, or 60 pages. I'm not entirely sure, but this is definitely worth the read. This one costed me like $11. So Venom number 200. And that's pretty much it for my comic book haul. Not exactly a lot, but not exactly a little bit of comics either. The comic hauls that I have on my channel, which you can go check out, I created a playlist. It's on my main channel towards the bottom. You can check those out. I have a total of 38, and now this one being 39. I've been doing those for quite a while. I had to stop because I moved, and then I moved again, and I ended up not having any more space. Things got a little tight with money, and that's why I haven't been able to do a comic haul. So I kind of figured, you know what, I've picked up some comics lately. I might as well just do a comic haul because I really wanted to see what was going on. And honestly, I'll admit I haven't read comics in quite a bit, where I've been actually focusing a lot on like the games and movies and stuff like that, rather than comics. So my channel's kind of like led towards that path of making content based on like the movies that come from Marvel Studios, DC, Warner Brothers, and of course Marvel Spider-Man games, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, and so on and so forth. So my channel's really been focusing on comic book related content rather than the actual source material comic books. So guys, that's pretty much it for comic haul number 39. Sorry if it seemed like it was a little bit over the place. Moving forward, I'm going to be doing my comic hauls actually a little bit more frequently. Just not every single week, because honestly, comic books is very expensive. It's a pretty expensive hobby, honestly. Even though they only cost like $3 or $4, I mean, it adds up when you buy a lot of issues at a time. So that's pretty much it that I got for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for watching. It is tonight, by the way, at the time of me recording this. It's actually almost 1 a.m. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on bell notifications so you don't miss anything. Stick around. There will be more comic hauls and, of course, more Spider-Man goodness, because apparently my channel is more of like a Spider-Man channel, even though I didn't like officially claim it to be one. It is according to the YouTube algorithms. So definitely stick around more for that as well, guys. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I'll see you all in the next comic panel.